Hey, you guys, this is gonna be my first YouTube video, and my name is Jason Grace, Jason Tyler Grace. I'm a tattoo artist and a writer and an artist, uh, and I want to put myself out there and I want to share my experience in this life so far. Because I've had to do a lot of work to be the person that I am right now. And I like the person that I am right now. That's not something I was able to say for most of my life. I'm 43 years old now. I've been tattooing for 21 or 22 years. Uh, and for most of my life, I thought that, for all my life, I thought that I was depressed. I thought that I was always going to be depressed. I didn't see another option for that. But that's not my reality anymore. And I never thought that that would be possible. But here I am, standing in front of a fucking camera on a Amazon selfie stick thing because I really believe that all the work that I've had to do to become this person is valuable and could be useful for other people. So, for that reason, I'm standing here and I want to share my story. I grew up always an artist. My mom, when I was a kid, had an affair with an art professor, and that's where I came from. So my mom was an artist too, and both those things were just, I inherited that artistic, creative blood. But along with that, I really thought that to be a good artist, I needed to be depressed. I needed to be in turmoil. I needed to kind of constantly be tossed about by the waves and just always kind of fucked up. I thought that the best work that I could make was when I was fucked up. I also don't believe that that's true anymore. There's been a big shift in the things that I thought were true and seeing that those things were not true. I'm not one for certainty. I believe that certainty does equal death. I really like what Socrates said, that the beginning of understanding is the realization that we don't know anything. All of what I want to share is based upon my own experiences and things that I've learned along the way, which have proved to be beneficial and which have opened up my worldview and my view of myself. A lot of this is about paradigm shifts. The idea that what we see is not what is. If I see the sky, I see a certain blue, and you see a different blue, and he sees a different blue. What we see in the world isn't necessarily what the world is. It has much more to do with the lens through which we're seeing the world, because our entire reality is happening inside of our body. This goes to a lot of Eastern philosophy. It goes to a lot of philosophy in general. Stoicism talks a lot about how our internal reality is really the only reality, and it is the only thing that we have control over, without a doubt. We have no control over anything outside of our own perceptions and our own realities. So then what's important is learning that we can't control anything outside of ourselves, and then learning to observe ourselves and the way that we are viewing the world. It's learning to look at the lens through which we see the world. And if we can do that, we can kind of get our first step into realizing that things are not always as we believe them to be. I believe that I was fucked up. I believe that I had to be fucked up to be a good artist. I believed that I was always going to be fucked up. I believed that whenever I got anything good, I would ruin it, which I did. Uh, these were truths and things that I learned either through experience or just through my genealogy. I don't know a lot of my family history. I don't know what a lot of my family went through. I suspect that a lot of these feelings that I've had and this battle against apathy and laziness and learning to deal with substances and all these things have been generational. I suspect that there's been a lot of this generational kind of trauma that has come to me through these things, which I can't be sure of. But I learned them through circumstances in my childhood. I learned them through my own internal makeup. And I kind of view it like a operating system, like a computer. So I was born Jason Tyler Grace version 1. And now I'm on Jason Tyler Grace version 69.69. Each version gets better. But if we never really take the time to update ourselves, if we never take the time to learn about ourselves or the way in which we see the world, the way that we interact with the world, we're always going to kind of remain the same. And I believe that some people, I know, it's unquestionable that some people are born into this life with better circumstances than others. Some people are born in the slums. Some people spend their 40 years of their whole life working in the mines in South America, making $20 a day and dying when they're 40. These questions of self-worth and fulfillment and happiness and contentment and achievement, these are ideas that are really only available to those of us who are lucky enough not to have to worry about food on the table and a roof over our heads. Just the fact that we can even think about these things is a sign enough that we are privileged and we are blessed and that we were dealt cards better than a lot of other people in other parts of the world. And I've felt a lot about that over the years. I've had a lot of anxiety about my place in the world. I spent 2.5 years traveling around the world, through South America, through Southeast Asia. I got to go to Japan and to Nepal. And I saw poverty like I never knew existed. It looked like biblical poverty. What made me so lucky that I got to be born here in this world, in this first world country, while others were born into the slums with so few options to be able to get out? And why was it that some of those people seemed to be incredibly happy in a way that I didn't see in the United States? It's an honor and it's a blessing to even have the opportunity to think about what it means to be to live a meaningful life. So if you ever even have that question, it's enough reason to give thanks for that opportunity. So I'm here because I want to share this story. And being on one side of it and thinking that I was always going to be fucked up, to being here and thinking I'm never going to be fucked up again, that I will definitely experience challenging times and hard times, because that's what life is. It's a mix of fucking hard times and shit sandwiches and beautiful, awe-inspiring moments. It's loss and love and all of it. So I had to change my perceptions. I had to change the way that I talked to myself. I had to change the way that I believed things. I learned about neural pathways, which you could imagine almost like the grooves that we make in our mind, and these cycles of thought that create these grooves. It would be like a record player spinning around and around, and it plays the track. So a lot of us have these negative voices that we tell ourselves, or our own negative voices that we talk to ourselves with. Oh, I'm so dumb. I'm so fucking fat. I'm so stupid. I'm so lazy. I'm such a piece of shit. I'm never going to be good at this. I'm always going to be a failure. I'm always going to be this. I'm always going to be that. We tell ourselves these things. We believe these things. If we could learn to see the lens that we're seeing it through, then we can start to see those things differently. So if you have the record and it's playing that thing over and over and over again, if we scratch it and you break up that pattern, and then it goes around and that pattern's broken. So we have to learn to do that with ourselves. Fucking change our patterns so that we can learn to see things differently. I believe that we're made up of 3 parts, maybe 4 parts. Body, mind, spirit. We have to care for our body. When I was depressed, I was also very inactive. I didn't do much of anything. So to be in our body, you get exercise, you get your blood pumping, you get your heart pumping, you break a sweat. It's going to bring you into your body and out of your brain. So body, mind. I really value spending time with minds greater than my own. So I spend time with really wise people through books. Personally, for me, it's books, sometimes audiobooks. But that could be through watching TED Talks, through reading or watching history. We're not alone. We're such a part of the stream of human history. We are a grain of sand on the beach. We think that we're so special, but we're not. We also only have access to what we have our own access to. So you're born with your operating system, and you have a certain way of thinking that you inherited through genes or your family, through what you were taught as a kid, through your experiences. So you follow that same train of thought. But we open ourselves up to other people's experiences, especially people's experiences who were more in tune spiritually or cognitively, who were smarter than us, wiser than us, who were just tapped into a different realm of understanding. Then their knowledge can become our knowledge. And what they shared with us, no matter how long ago, can be relevant today. One of my favorite books is Letters from a Stoic, which is from Seneca, the philosopher. This was published before Christ. This is a long time ago. Comes in this beautiful little book, and each page is just like, you just read a little bit in the morning. But the amount of understanding that Seneca had about human existence and the human experience is mind-blowing. Then you got a guy like Viktor Frankl, who was put into the camps in the Holocaust, and he lost his entire family. And while he was there, he came up with a philosophy about how he had control over his internal world, and they could not take that away from him. And he came up with a whole system of belief based upon his own ability to make himself happy and content in the worst of circumstances. So that's how I feed my brain. Spiritually, meditation, prayer, service. Be of service to people around you. Be of service to your community. Be of service to a friend that needs you. Learn to listen. But also just give thanks. Maybe the next time you're talking all this shit or thinking about all the things you don't have or how bad your life is. Think about all the things you do have and just say thank you to whoever or whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. But we all come from this great expanse of whatever, and we're all made up of wherever the fuck we came from before we were born. We are connected to it. I believe that. I don't know that there's necessarily a God, but there is some fucking great energy that made all of us and that made this whole thing. So this is the first of a series of videos that I would like to put out there. And a lot of it will just be sharing the stories and the things that I've learned over time that I hold to be incredibly useful. And I'm open to dialogue. I'm not saying that any of it is absolutely true. Don't know that I believe in absolute truth. But I have planted seeds over the years by spending time with these things that I've learned, and I am beginning to feel and experience the fruits of it. Sow the seeds, reap the rewards. You know, I want to live a life based on integrity and based on principles. That's important to me. It's also important to me to live a life of meaning and to honor the gifts that I've been given. So I'm writing a book. It's going to be called Show Me How You're Free. And it's going to be about my story of finding my way through this world and looking for peace and excitement through drugs and prostitutes and love and beautiful relationships and tattooing and traveling and experiences, and believing that I was fucked and not believing that at all anymore. It's through my artwork, through honoring the gifts that I've been given, through creating art, and that's a form of meditation in itself. Another way is through sharing. I got into tattooing so that I could tell people about Jesus back when that was my identity. I've had a lot of identities. One of them was Christianity, which I got really angry at after I got out of it. But I'm not angry at it anymore. But I wanted to tell people about Jesus. And now here I am at 43, and it's not Jesus that I'm talking about, but I do want to share what I've learned about living a meaningful life and about coming through the darkness into the light. Osho was a great Eastern philosopher and a real kind of pain in the ass and kind of a hustler, but a real genius, said, darkness is not a thing. It's nothing. You can't create darkness. You can turn on a light and the darkness is gone. Darkness exists in a vacuum. You can create it by closing the blinds, but you can't make darkness. You can make light. And all you need, if you're in this place of darkness, is just bring in a little bit of light and the darkness is gone. So, I'll share with you guys the way that I've found my light, and that's it. You could talk shit, you could say right on, you could not comment, or whatever. But I hope that it can be of some service, and I look forward to sharing more with you guys. Thanks for tuning in. You can check out my podcast, Searching with JTG, where I talk to tattoo artists and people that I admire. So that's it. Be good to one another, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.